And it all began with a thought. As all of our manifestations, we believe, begin with a thought. And it happened one day about 4 years ago. And Kirk and I were dating at the time, and he was at my house that night. And I had to get up very early that day to go to yoga. I had a 6 a.m. yoga class, if you can believe it. And so he drove me down to the yoga class, and he left me off there. And he only lived around the block, as it so happened.
Convenient.
Conveniently. So he left me off at the 6 a.m. yoga class, and I was the only one there. And
I had to love him because it was 6 a.m.
And you know, my yoga teacher got me in Sukhasana, sitting position. We started saying the chant and, you know, getting into it and all. And then all of a sudden, the doorbell rang because it was in his home studio. And we thought, who could that possibly be at 6 o'clock in the morning? And there was no one else coming. And so all right, so we opened the door, and it was Kirk standing there. And I thought, did you forget your key? What happened? And he looks at me, and he just says, my house burnt down. And I thought, you're kidding. I just didn't believe him. And then after another couple seconds, as he was standing there looking at me, you can imagine the look on his face. He's not kidding. I looked at my yoga teacher, and he just looked back at me, and I got my coat, and I left. He drove me around the block, and certainly the whole house was in the driveway. It had burned down the night before. Kirk had been with me. Nobody was hurt, by the way. Structural property damage, but nobody was hurt. That's the first thing to know. But that was, as you can imagine, a very surreal day for us. And it had its humor because the first thing I said was, we have to go to Target.
What do you do after a fire?
You go shopping! Shopping! Oh, this is fabulous! So we went to Target, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning, and they were just starting to get their hot dogs heated up, you know, for the day, and I said, let's have hot dogs! So we sat there kind of looking at the parade of people eating hot dogs and kind of pondering it as we had our little purchases of underwear and toothpaste and stuff, because it was a total loss. And Baby said to me, what do you think this means? And you know, I'll tell you, honestly, I never told you this before, but I was in my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, I think I just got married. You've heard of baptism by fire. This was marriage by fire. I am not ready. This isn't happening. That was what was going on in my monkey mind. But what I was able to say to Kirk, in a little bit more compassion than that, was, I think we have some work to do together. and you know, because we had been thinking about that, and we both were doing similar work around forming communities in different ways, but basically the same thing. And for the rest of the day, we just kind of pondered that, among other things. What is this work? And, you know, the monkey mind, I wanted to know, what is it going to be about? I don't know. I want to know now. No, it's just not going to come forth at this particular moment, but we know that has to do with having worked together. But by the end of the day, I was able to make a formulation. I was able to have an insight. And I said, Kirk, I know about this work we're doing together. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be called the Kirk and Donny Show. And here we are 5 years later, or 4 years later, and here's the Kirk and Donny Show.
And of course,
so that's our funny story.
That's our